So my name is Lily Archive, and today I am driving to my girlfriend's house. I just wanted to talk about something. Now, I'm not going to be looking at the camera at all. Right now I'm looking at my backup camera, being safe, not looking at the camera, looking at the road, just talking to you all, because I was watching a Gabs with Abigail video. I was rewatching it. It's the one where it's like on a scale of 1 to 19 kids, how Fundie is each of the Bates kids or whatever. And she was talking about a topic, and it's like a trend I've noticed, but I've never really put it into words. But she was talking about how we as like the Fundie Snark community find someone new to like just like can't stand every couple of months. And I think it's specifically for like the Duggar and Bates like Snark people. Like, I don't think that it's the same with like different people in Girl Defined or whatever, just because there's so many kids in those two families that some get talked about and just kind of snarked on consistently during different phases over time. Like, obviously, like there's only two, like there's only Bethany and Kristen, for example, in Girl Defined. Like, I mean, they have other kids, but nobody's really talking about them like all the time. So it's like you're kind of always talking about Bethany and Kristen. There's not like a lull maybe in negative commentary about Kristen and Bethany, you know what I mean, in comparison to their other siblings. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me play Gabs with Abigail's kind of commentary on that.
Alyssa and John, everybody's favorite. Every few months, the Fundie Snark community goes through a I hate this Bates, I hate this Duggar phase, and right now, currently, it is Alyssa. Very specifically within the Bringing Up Bates subreddit community, they're saying that Alyssa treats her daughter Allie bad. And every time I see those comments, I'm like, you don't know these people, actually. You don't know them. You don't know them. You don't know them. You don't know them. And I know we could say that about any kind of moment, but this is like you're seriously accusing her of like just the content that she shares. Like, I don't understand why you guys are reading so deeply into this. It's weird. It's getting strange. It's getting a little weird, babe. I don't know, but the reality is that they will move on from it. And there'll be somebody new who they hate for a while. You know, it was Carlin around the time that she was getting married for like months. Just like, oh, she's so attention seeking. She's so attention seeking. She's so attention seeking. Oh my God, I can't stand Carlin. I hate Carlin. Carlin is so annoying to me. She's all, look at how she says, like everything. There was, before her, there was Claire Duggar. I remember that. Right before she was getting married. People ran what's her face off the internet when she was having her moment. Josiah's wife, Lauren. It was the I hate Lauren train. And I say that all to say right now, it is the I hate Alyssa train.
Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today, and I'm doing this in the car because I'm bored on the way to her house, and it really requires no research because I feel like it just in my head, like I have so many examples, but the different examples of kind of that happening in the Snark community, particularly with the Duggars and Bates, and kind of like giving my thoughts on it and like commentary on that. So I kind of just want to go through the kids. So obviously the one she mentions, there's definitely been like a big thing with Carlin. Like, I would say that's one of the bigger ones that have happened over the years. And it was like really consistent. It was for a few years. I feel like people are now finally kind of chilling off that. People more talk about Carlin's less about her being annoying and rather her exploiting Layla pretty much. But now I feel like Carlin used to bother me personally a lot more, and I don't know if it's like hive mind. I haven't been able to figure out. I don't know if it's like hive mind and I'm just kind of like going along with everybody else not really hating on Carlin for being like annoying as much. And Evan, honestly, they kind of went together. They have like a very similar personality. Like, they're very much not opposites attract type of couple. But I can't tell if it's like oh, I'm on the bandwagon of not really talking about her being annoying, but, like, Evan in particular has kind of grown on me. Like, I don't love how they film their kid all the time, but Evan particularly has really grown on me. He used to be, like, so fucking annoying to me there for years and years, and now, I don't know. Maybe it's them growing up, maybe it's the hive mind, I don't know. Okay, now I'm editing, and I didn't think about this until now, but low-key, I think for me, it might be their involvement with Zach and Whitney. I feel like I have such, and have pretty consistently have such a good opinion of Zach and especially of Whitney. Like, they're kind of unproblematic and they both have, like, very charismatic personalities. So I think their involvement with them might have a little bit to do with it. Like, they're always with them, they own the business with them. So I think that maybe their positive idea of them, I guess, in my mind has kind of, like, rubbed off a little bit. I don't know. The next one that comes to mind is another one that she mentioned, which is Claire. I still don't like Claire, and honestly, we never see her. I don't know. It's, oh, my girlfriend's texting me. It's just, like, her attitude. It's just, like, you can tell that, I don't know, she's just, like, from every vibe we've gotten, and to be clear, like, it's just not, we haven't gotten, like, a very good look. I don't know. I think it's just, like, out of everyone, they're, like, the most still in IBLP of the in-laws, I think. Am I wrong? Yeah, like, I feel like they're always the ones I see consistently at the conferences. I feel like she is, like, someone who would, like, really double down on her beliefs, whether they be political or what have you. I don't know. Like, Claire, okay, smug. Like, you know the photo of Justin with the 2 thumbs up and he just looks so smug? Like, I feel like Claire just gives smug vibes. And there was, like, a point there when she and Hillary were posting a lot more and the show was, like, on its last fucking leg, that that was the time when people were always talking about Claire. I still think that, I mean, unless, you know, we have there's some other information we don't have, I still feel like if they were, like, pretty prominent online, I feel like they really don't give a fuck, maybe in the way, and, like, aren't as tactful, maybe, again, based on nothing, tactful as maybe, like, Jinger is or Jill is, and they might be people, if they were going to be online, to say whatever they're thinking. Hillary used to post a lot too. Hillary's sister, oh my god, I don't know if you follow her, but I swear, her stories, there's always at least, like, 30 stories a day, like, from these, like, fringe outlets, and it's always just, like, such fearful, like, political content, and I'm low-key worried about her, because I just know, like, just looking through her stories, and I get it if you're concerned about things, but just, like, consuming so much media that is so fearful, this is, like, besides the point, but is so fearful, would be so stressful for me personally, and you know what, maybe she's fine, but, like, I just feel like if I was consuming that much news that is just so targeting, like, your fear part of your brain, I would just be such a wreck. I don't know, I just feel like we are not another conversation for another day, but we are not made to, like, consume that much media in general, and it's always just shocking to me when I open up her stories, because I'm just like, oh my god, time and place, you did it at my birthday dinner. But another one, oh, okay, here's one that she didn't mention, I don't think, in her clip, is Chad. Chad used to be, like, golden boy back in the day. Even I was, and this is another thing, like, am I just, like, giving on to the bandwagon? Because I used to be like, oh, Chad, like, he's out there working, like, he looks at her so adoringly, and now, kind of after the exit of Aaron from BSB, and the kind of assumption that it was kind of more Chad's idea to, like, get her from doing that, make her stop doing YouTube as frequently, whatever. I think people have been like, like, is Chad controlling? Like, is he like, who is Chad really? And, yeah, a lot less of, like, Chad, like, he's builds stuff, like, he's out there working, like, he's not, like, just hanging out vlogging, like Lawson or whatever. But then, the other day, they posted a Q&A, and I'll insert the clip, but Chad basically is talking about, like, what they do for money, and it really, he's like, kind of like, yeah, sometimes we work on construction, so, like, that makes me think, like, what, girl, what, like, I haven't heard anything about Paine construction recently, like, what's going on with that?
Is so many people are struggling with finances. How do you not work?
Well, we do work, so we have multiple incomes. They kind of supplement each other. We can't really do one without the other. So I do paint construction. It's a remodeling business. It's just me and another guy helps me, and we can stay very busy, and sometimes and not so much. But we balance that with Chad and Aaron Co.,
which is a little business we started 3 years ago. In a nutshell, basically encouraging people to get back in God's Word through different products that we create, and it's something that we love to do together.
We do.
And our goal is just to really encourage people, especially in their spiritual walk.
Yeah.
And then we also do YouTube.
We do that,
off and on.
Off and on.
We're not very faithful at that. But so, yes, we do work to answer your question. The next question?
So, yeah, I think that the tides have kind of switched on Chad. It's one of, like, the bigger switch-ups on a person. Other than, like, Joe and Derick, but I don't know. I feel like people are still very critical of Joe and Derick, but they give them a little bit more grace now, given all the context that they provided. Like, I remember back in the day when they were still in El Salvador, and I just know how frustrating this must have been for Jill and Derick, like, to know all of the details and the context, but not be able to say anything and have all these people talk about you. But when they were in El Salvador and they were, like, raising money for their mission, and everybody, like, is like, what the fuck is this? Like, you're on this national television show, like the biggest show on TLC at the time, and you're asking for money, like, why can't you just fund it? And, you know, obviously a lot of people were talking about that. I'm sure I talked about that too. I honestly can't remember because I was like 16 at the time. But to know in the background, like, they, you know, they weren't balling like that, like how we thought that they were. Like, sure, they were temporarily living in that big ass house that Jim Bob gave them to live in temporarily. But, you know, to just know that that was just kind of a side tangent. I don't even know. I feel like with them, people are still pretty critical, but there was a time where people were, like, really talking about Derick, but honestly, it was, like, more one of those that, like, we had more evidence for. Like, y'all were kind of, like, more justified, and it was less based on vibes. Like, the Claire thing for me is based completely on vibes. The Derick thing was, like, a culmination of him, like, running over that cat.
Okay, push him! Woo!
Talking about Trump's wall, tweeting at Jazz Jennings. Yeah, so I feel like there was a lot more basis, like, for the mass hate on Derick. Right now, as she says in the video, so that video was posted, I think, like, a few months ago, but I still feel like a lot of people are coming down on Alyssa and John. A lot of people say that John just doesn't seem like he's helpful. I feel like nobody was ever, like, a John lover, you know what I mean? But people have really come down on John lately for just seeming like going on trips without her. I know that he went on, like, a skiing trip this year without her and left her with all the kids. Like, he was talking about how he doesn't want to take the kids on vacation, like, he'd rather just go alone, which is his prerogative, I guess, but people were kind of, like, up in arms about that. And then, obviously, as Abigail mentions in her video, that Alyssa seems like she doesn't like Allie. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that's Allie's just her oldest kid, and so she probably needs a lot of help from her. Maybe that's what it is. I know that a lot of people say that Alyssa doesn't seem like she likes having kids. I think that she's just probably more honest than maybe people like Erin are on YouTube, that she's like stressed out with 5 kids, as most people would be. Like, obviously, she says it in a little different way than maybe like Carlin might be like, yeah, like we get stressed out sometimes. Alyssa just like delivers things differently. I feel like she's more direct, whereas Carlin is more like bubbly, like everything's kind of fine person, so it wouldn't come off that way. But yeah, I don't necessarily know if I'm like, oh, I'm like a big Alyssa and John snarker. I think the constant like filtering of her photos is interesting, like of her story photos, but other than that, I don't know, I don't have much to say on them. Oh, there was a minute there where everybody was talking about Bobby, but that was more for that rumor, and I might do a video on that. I don't know, because it's so speculative, and there was never any kind of it came from like a Reddit user like making claims that Bobby cheated on Tori at the first church he worked at when he first came to Tennessee, and that's why he left ministry, and also finances, but left ministry and started working with Kelton. So most of like the Reddit like rumors and whatnot that I've covered on my channel, they've at least been verified by moderators. I don't think that person was ever verified by like the Bringing Up Bates subreddit moderators, mostly because that's like a much smaller sub. Like a lot of like the subreddits I've looked at for AMAs on this channel in particular have been like either the Duggar Snark or the Fundie Snark subreddit. I'm trying to think of like another person that there's been like a big phase of like people not liking. I'm like going through, obviously like nobody likes Lawson ever. Like that's always been a thing. I feel like that's the one. Josh obviously like naturally, but Lawson like has been like one of the people that people are always talking about, like they're always hating on, like that's a constant. Like that's never changes, and I wonder if there'll be like a Carlin and Evan kind of rehabilitation of image at some point, but I really don't think so, because we've been going on like over 10 years of the Lawson Bates hate. I feel like there's also people that people love to love. Esther. People love to love Esther. I wonder if that will ever come crashing down. I doubt it, because she really doesn't post that much. She was never on the show. There's really nothing to kind of say about her. Like Nathan has had a rehabilitation of image a little bit, because I know that with like the Tori video of him like getting onto her for trying to wear her hair up, wear her hair up at her wedding.
Very loosely here with curls hanging out of it.
You cannot put your hair in a bun.
Why?
You will regret that till the day.
No, she won't. My hair looks
on your
better
wedding
with
day.
it.
You never put your hair up or in a bun.
Nathan,
you
a
leave it
lot of
down.
girls do it up.
I know, and they all look terrible.
It depends on the wedding dress you have.
No, it's the woman inside the dress that matters. And
So
don't
it doesn't
you
matter
worry
what my hair
about that
is in.
dress. You just make your hair to make you look beautiful. You want it down and you want it curly.
I want my hair up because I have a very round face. Sometimes if you do it the right way, it can make it look a little bit skinnier. And I don't want my hair being down to take away from my dress. And I want my V-neck in my back of my dress. So if I have my hair down, it'll cover it up. So it needs to be up, but look like it's partly down. You know, like curls hanging down here and there and like all the way around. That's the way it goes.
You should put your hair up.
Thank you.
And just him, you know, I feel like Esther in particular has really rehabilitated his image, because he's very much gives like worships the ground she walks on vibes, and people seem to like that. Trace, I feel like there's never been like, I feel like people in Snark don't really like Trace, but I don't feel like I see it all the time in the same way I would always see like the Carlin stuff or the Alyssa stuff. And I feel like a lot of that is just from like his vibes, but also his like January 6th activity, him and Lawson. that was just another strike for Lawson, but that was like one of the main things I feel like I can think of that like people talk about that Trace did. Kelton, I feel like Kelton has like had like very small moments where people will talk about him, and it's just mostly from him when he was younger. I don't know, he had this creepy ass smile, and then combined with him like, you know, kind of looking at Josie when she was like 14 and he was like 18 or whatever, 14 and 17, and then Gil kind of shooing him away for a moment, and him coming back. People were like, girl, there was probably a time where people would talk about Katie and Travis a lot. I still feel like they're not like super well liked in the whole grand scheme of like Duggars and Bates, but I don't know, maybe like for similar reasons that Carlin and Evan were disliked and talked about a lot, but they weren't as in your face about it. Also, I think a lot of people also talk about their exploitation of Haley. Like, if you look, like, Haley gets, like, the videos and reels of her actually do a lot better than Carlin and Evan's reels the last time I checked, but that's been months, so it could have changed. And then also, I don't know how their YouTube views and whatnot compare to Carlin and Evan's. I would be curious to know. I'm trying to think of, like, I've been talking about so many Bates, because I feel like there is, like, a lot of, like, more, like, fan discussion that I see on Bates, rather than Duggars. So when there is, like, somebody to hate on, like, I feel like there's more positivity, so when there is, like, more hate, like, it's more noticeable. Ginger and Jeremy, it wasn't necessarily like a hate, it was more like a cringe. Like, when they first got married, like, people still talk about them all the time, but like when they first got married, it was definitely like a phase of like cringe, rather than like, it was like, oh, we love to hate them for a season. It was more like, oh, we love to like cringe at them, like the, if I love Jeremy and Jeremy loves books, so I love books type beat of that era, like of 2016, 2017, in their honeymoon stage of marriage. People still, I feel like Jeremy also, though, is like somebody pretty consistent. He bothers me a lot less now that I've heard him talk more and he's grown up more. You know, he's pushing 40, so he bothers me a lot less. He's also just been doing, I feel like, less, what's the word I'm looking for? Holier than thou bullcrap, or like he's been, I don't know how to say it. He's been less in your face with that. Okay, and then Gabs was talking about, Lauren had her moment, which I actually feel really bad. As you guys know, I'm a Lauren Duggar apologist. I think she's a diva. I miss her content. I miss her Josie Bates, Boho Inspo debacle posts. She was just that girl. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, what solidified in my mind of her being that girl is when she left Josiah filming to do like a couples game alone so she could take a nap because she was tired. I was like, yeah, you do you, girl. Like, the way, and I think I contributed to this. I don't necessarily remember. I was probably about 16 or 17. Yeah. Okay, so when I was speaking earlier with the grifting thing, I feel like I was like 14, and I was like 16 and 17 when the whole Lauren Aza thing happened. That was really bad, and I also contributed that, so would like to publicly apologize to Lauren there. That was fucking foul, that everybody was just like talking about it. Like, was she talking about it a lot? Yeah, but I mean, so what? Like, I'm sure that, like, miscarriages are hard enough, and I'm sure that it's even harder as a 19-year-old on your first pregnancy in this kind of environment. So honestly, sorry to Lauren, but there was a moment where people just love to hate her. And honestly, like, looking back and growing up is realizing that Lauren is that girl, like, she's that diva. I'm like going down the line in my head, and like Austin and Jed, I feel like are some people that like people always love to hate on. Jed, it particularly was a lot, like, when he was running for office, obviously. Austin has been pretty consistent. I've seen, like, some, like, love for him, like, especially, like, right after the trial, and whatnot, but I've definitely seen a lot of, like, people love to hate him, like, over the years, but it wasn't, like, I feel like it's not, like, an era in my mind, like, I feel like it's been so consistent, that it's not really, like, a thing. Okay, guys, that was kind of, like, all the eras of, like, loving to hate people, in the Duggar and Bates families that has been done on, the Fundie Snark Reddit in my head. I've never done a video like this, just, like, kind of sitting and chatting with me, like, no research, just, like, talking out my ass. So I really hope you like my commentary on that. I hope it wasn't a rambling mess. And I hope you watch more videos with us coming soon. Thank you guys for watching.